Hey guys, welcome to welcome to the podcast. It's a rough start. It's our first time, okay? Give us a break. We'll have an intro. Boom, there you go. Magic. All right, start again. I'm Life. You can call me Eric, and we're just gonna go around, give our introductions, let you know who's part of the team. Go for it.
Hey, it's your boy Croc, and my name is Johnny. Y'all can call me Johnny.
Who's there? Me?
Yeah.
Me?
You're-
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Here,
No, no,
Kevin here, BBB, BMX, you call me whatever you want.
Last but not least,
Hey everybody, it's Essentials. I'm Billy, and it is nice to meet you guys.
all right. So, welcome to the podcast. Our main focus to start off is going to be anime. It's not going to be our long time focus for the longevity of this podcast, but to start off, that's kind of all of our big hobby to do is watch anime, read manga, stuff like that. So, we just wanted to start a podcast, talk about it, give people our opinion on things, and kind of see if anyone's interested in listening. Today, we're just going to do, since we're just doing an introduction, we're going to go around, talk about how we all first got into anime, what our first big anime was that we really started watching, and when we switched over from watching dub to sub. Because that's, I think, kind of the three big things that happen in people's lives. They first watch an anime series, then they really get into it later on in life, and then they finally switched from English dub to sub. I think everyone here is probably going to be the same, even though we didn't consider it to be an anime when we first watched it. I think everyone's first anime they ever watched is probably going to be Pokemon. Am I right?
Oh yeah, I didn't think about it. Yeah, there's Pokemon.
Dude, wasn't Sailor Moon?
No, for me it was not Sailor Moon. Maybe for my sister, but not for me. For me, it was Pokemon. Definitely for Pokemon.
It's like Pokemon debuted in the '90s, right? So we would have been maybe like 4 or 5 years old at the point, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And of course, like that's whatever's playing on YTV.
the show was
Oh,
the
yeah,
show.
YTV.
The show was early '90s because the cards came out in '96.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
the show was when we were like babies, man. But yeah, that's the first anime I could think of that I watched. But then, yeah, of course, there was like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, all those ones. But I mean, when we were young kids, early grade one, grade two, we didn't really think it was it as anime. It was just the TV we were watching on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. It was just whatever was on TV. You got home and you're just like, bless. You got like 20 minutes of like Pokemon left to watch, and you're just like, no, I missed out on like that first 10 minutes.
Yep.
kids today are so spoiled. They won't ever get to know that the struggle that we went through of having to like set aside your schedule and time things so you can watch a whole episode of something. And like today, you can pause things, you can watch everything on demand, you can binge watch an entire series if you wanted to. But back in those times, you had to plan ahead.
Yo,
You
the
had to
worst
really
was
pay attention.
worst was when I'm sure probably most of us here did like Kumon or did like music lessons or something, and that cut into your time, so you got to miss your one episode. That always made me sad.
Bro. They didn't have on demand at that point. You had to wait a
Nope.
whole week until you catch the next episode, or in the worst case scenario, you would like miss out one episode, and you have to try to figure out what happened in between like those two episodes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, for me it was like
Don't mind me. I gotta just switch
primarily
something.
like YTV, but at the same time it was like those Friday night animes and like those Saturday morning
Bionic.
animes that would air.
Saturday mornings,
Yeah,
for sure.
Bionic.
Saturday morning.
it was
And
Bionic. Yeah, that's what it was called.
Bionics. Yeah. So, like, an interesting thing that I want to note about Bionics and like that's whole sort of lineup of YTV anime, or like, I guess like North American publicly broadcasted anime, are the type of series that they got and like the sort of range that we got, right? Because at that point, anime was still a super niche industry, and not really. I don't think that there were many broadcasters that really thought that was going to be big. So like, how can you already start figuring out what's going to sell well or what's going to view well for that demographic, and especially like in that age when YTV was mostly like younger kids, right?
Yep.
For them to put on like a Friday night block, animation block, was pretty huge, and I think that it's like really important that we got to see that, because we got to see like a lot of um, like a lot more mature, more diverse sort of senses of anime, like a lot of dramas. Of course, you had like Dragon Ball Z, where they had it's really bombastic and it really like has a lot of visual flair. But like as soon as we got Death Note, right, or something like a little bit deeper, like I'm not sure if anybody remembers Witch Hunter Robin, but that sense of atmosphere, it wasn't just geared towards kids, and like it was definitely not geared towards
Dude, like I remember they would play Dot Hack Sign.
Oh man.
And that was like one of the I don't know, I feel like it's one of the first like isekai animes, if you ever think about it, because like it's essentially some kids stuck in a VR game, right? And when I first started seeing that, I was like kind of freaked out because like the intros are always a little bit creepy, or I don't know, just as a kid, I was like a little freaked out, but I still kind of watched it, and yeah, that was really cool too.
Yeah.
The first anime that kind of creeped me out as a kid was, on YTV they had, I think it was the Saturday nights. They had the kind of more adult anime shows on. Well, not really adult, but just geared more towards the older crowd. And I watched Detective Conan, and since it was literally just a murder mystery, it wasn't really the best thing to be watching when I was a kid. But it was a good show, and I liked it. But obviously, it creeped me out when
Detective Conan.
I just see
Case
dead bodies
closed.
all the time. So that was my first experience where I was like, am I supposed to be watching this? No.
I don't know. Like, and I also want to think about like for YTV to show all those sorts of shows on a network that you already know that there are going to be like a lot of like maybe 8-year-old, like anywhere between like 6 to 13-year-old is kind of like the peak demographic, right?
Yeah.
And then to keep showing shows like that, right, that are probably like way outside of our intended
Cognitive zone, I would
cognitive.
say.
I guess so, like
Yeah.
our maturity zone, right?
Yeah.
So I think it helped to accelerate some of our development, because I feel like a lot of content now is very dumbed down. Maybe that's just the way that I see it. It's like really simplified. It's supposed to be like really colorful, like supposed to really grab your attention all the time. But I like the shows that slow things down and and force you to like think about things, and like really like that like have it soak in, right? Dot Hack Sign is kind of like one of those examples, because it's not a very fast-paced show. Like watching it like
No.
week by week, it's fine, but it's like really dialogue heavy, right? And like
Mhm.
how do you expect to sell that to kids, right?
Oh, it was actually difficult to like maintain my attention and like
Yeah.
my track on this show, because like even though I would know it would go on at a certain time, like
Yeah.
my attention wouldn't really be there necessarily, because I'm just like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a little convoluted, because
It is.
even the main character themselves aren't aware of
Mhm.
what's going on behind the scenes, or like why they're doing certain things.
Yeah.
And like not many shows at that time kind of like appealed to that concept where the main character is lost. There's always an idea of an objective of some sort where the main character has to go through. Like in every episode of Pokemon, you know that like maybe they're trying to catch a Pokemon or battle some sort of gym. There's always build up, but then
There's always a routine. Right?
yeah, exactly.
And so yeah,
One thing I'm curious about to know is if we end up getting viewership from like different areas, not specifically like Ontario, but like if we get people from different provinces or even people in the States. I'm very curious if other places during our age range had that much anime being played on TV, you know?
I
Because
think
we had a lot.
yeah.
What's
I
that
think
again?
for North America, like the big two were Pokemon because of the game.
Yeah.
And then Yu-Gi-Oh and Beyblade. Those are the three. Because there was like a market, not just anime. There was like products and stuff.
Hasbro.
Yeah. Same with
Yeah,
Dragon
well,
Ball.
I-
Dragon Ball Z had a lot of toys
Dragon Ball
too.
Z, yeah.
Yo, man,
And
who
games
here,
too.
like who here got either a Yu-Gi-Oh deck because of the show or like a Beyblade set? Like
Yeah.
Guy right here, man.
Yo, I would go to Kevin's house after school and we'd freaking do Beyblade battles, man, in his house.
But like yeah, it was fun and I don't regret getting into it. I think that
But did any of you guys have like the freaking full-on Yu-Gi-Oh arm set? Did anyone get that?
That's a real-
I never had that, but there was a kid. So before Kevin and I were in the same grade, I think this was Yu-Gi-Oh was popular. What, grade 4 or 5 for us? That
Yu-Gi-Oh Beyblade at the same time.
yeah.
From 4 to 6, I think.
So I think grade 4. That's when there was like the intense guys, and they had like some guys came to school with a full arm. I'm like, what are you gonna do with that at recess?
time.
Let's be honest. And it's crazy to think that the cars that we used to bring to school get all roughed up and ripped, or the bad kids would go into freaking people's backpacks and steal them, are now
Man,
worth
like-
freaking hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially, you know? So
Yeah, man.
that thing
Bye-bye,
blows my
Exodia.
mind. All right, so I think now the main subject would be, what was the first anime you really got into? Be it dub or sub. What was the first one that really got you to like, you were watching it all the time? Because Pokemon and all that stuff, yeah, that was the first thing we saw on TV. But what was the first one that you actually like watched all the time? Go ahead, first, Croc.
All right.
Or-
Croc,
or-
go ahead.
I'm just trying to go like whatever I see on my screen. That's
It doesn't matter.
But-
Anyone.
Go ahead.
Like I think when I first started exploring my own taste in anime, like whatever wasn't broadcasted on like public shows, because at that time, at that age, you don't really get a choice for
Yeah.
which platforms you can use. Nowadays, it's really easy. You can go on Crunch. You can go also on to like Kiss Anime, right?
Yeah, you can go anywhere you want. R.I.P.
You can go anywhere. But back in those times, you were only allowed to view whatever was on television, unless your parents specifically went out and got you like DVD copies or VHS tapes of
Yep.
the anime that you want to watch, right? So in that sense, you don't really get a choice in what you want to view. I think when I like during the mid 2000s when internet service was like really good,
Yeah.
or was pretty decent, you could watch a whole bunch of shows, or you could even torrent or download shows that you wanted to watch that weren't even like officially released,
Mhm.
and that really like opened up the scope for like the things you could explore. For myself, I really started getting into like big three shonen kind of shows because that was
Yeah.
just like whatever was available, right? You were always like trying to keep track of like which new shows were happening, were going on, and what was worth your time and worth your bandwidth to download. So I think like Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, those were like big ones that I
Yeah.
really tried getting into. But I also explored like other genres. Like there's so much anime out there, so many different types. Personally, like I really liked Ichigo 100%.
Yeah.
If any of you guys remember that shit.
No,
No, man.
I don't think I
Okay,
watched
I'm
it.
gonna
You
get-
should go 100%. What is it about?
No, man. Just cute girls doing cute things.
All right, Kevin.
Damn.
Kevin, you
No.
go. What was yours? What was your
Basically,
first big?
I think it's basically when YouTube came out, and then we I think it's you
Uh,
or one of the other grade 7 guys were like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
should
yeah.
watch Naruto.
That was the
That's it.
YouTube was the
That's
old
it.
school place to watch
And
anime for
you have
free.
to watch, and you have to watch it like in parts,
Yeah.
like part 1, part 2,
In Espanol.
and then yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, they done. That was it, man. Naruto. Before that, I wasn't like as much. So, the Naruto, not Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon.
Yeah.
So nothing to say.
And Billy, what about you?
Yeah, for me, it's gotta be Naruto, 100%. Like, it wasn't even like me who got into Naruto. It was like my older cousin.
Okay.
What she would have is she would have a bunch of CDs with the Naruto episodes on it. So somebody burnt a bunch of like CDs with Naruto episodes on it, and I
Damn.
would just be at their house, like binging Naruto with my brother. Like, we'd just be sitting there and just like watching all these episodes of like the original Naruto.
Yeah.
And like, it wasn't until later on where I spent money, like my red envelope money at Pacific Mall. So Pacific Mall is this like bootleg mall in Toronto, basically.
Yeah.
And I would literally like buy these chapters of DVDs or CDs that had Naruto episodes on it, and like it would be like by arcs usually. Like,
Yeah.
I remember one vividly where is it Kimimaru, like the dude who uses
Okay.
his bones?
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was thinking someone else.
Yeah, that guy. I don't know. Like there was like arcs, right? Like, and there was like arcs where they had to fight those guys as well, and yeah, like basically the large source of my anime for Naruto came from burnt DVDs with episodes on it that were either like pirated or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I think I got into it a little bit earlier before getting to watch and choose what I wanted to watch. The first time I really got into something big was when it was still on YTV, and the first big one I got into was Inuyasha. That was
Oh,
probably the
really?
first one that I really watched and like
Wow.
dedicated myself to watching. I don't know if I ended up watching the whole series, well, at least the dub version, but I'm pretty sure I watched the whole thing that actually aired. I don't know, something with the timing of, when I'd be home and when it actually aired, I was able to watch the whole thing. After that, it was grade 7 when I was with Kevin and the other guys in our class, and Naruto was then the one I really got into afterwards. Yeah. The,
Yeah.
YouTube was the way. YouTube was definitely the way for us back then.
Oh,
Before the Kiss animes and all the other
All the
anime websites that came out, that was definitely the way until they got banned.
yeah. Definitely like.
Yo,
Go ahead.
yeah, I used to print out the jutsus and the hand sign, and I had a folder.
Who
And I
is
remember bro, it's probably in my muscle memory. So exactly.
who is
You
Yeah,
know,
these
No,
stories real
no,
quick,
let's
bro.
like do the.
who is not a Naruto fan that doesn't know at least one sign, Like,
I think like is this a sign? This one?
Yes.
yeah,
No gang signs.
I'm pretty sure
We don't.
Kevin was. I forget if you brought it. That's probably when you brought it to school. You brought the sheets of paper, and then I learned.
The,
That.
the,
Yeah, dude, that's
fire
fire GC. That's literally ingrained in my mind. I will never forget. It's like muscle memory. I can always recite that for the rest of my life.
Damn. Just remember, one day it could save your life. You're in an alleyway
Exactly.
and you're like,
Yeah,
pressing against the wall. Oh no.
No,
Hold on,
you're
become
gonna.
hard.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're gonna go into a Naruto isekai.
Hold on.
legit. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think the next probably main thing is, now that we've gone over our first thing and what we got into, was when did you do the switch from English to sub? And I guess what was the experience, right? So I know there's a bunch of people that have different stuff. So there's some people watch one series forever in English because that's what they know or whatever. But what did you guys kind of make the switch, and then how did it affect your viewing of anime? I feel like because I feel like it definitely changes your how you view things, and that's just because of the way how Japan's set up, right? They're actors for that. It's a whole profession, but
Mhm.
here, yeah, okay, voice acting is a profession, but it's definitely not as big in any way whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, go ahead first.
Yeah. So like the differences between like dubbing, like localization and subbed, like original dubbing is really interesting. I understand the challenges that are behind like localizing something and a product that already exists
Yeah.
because you're trying to work within that studio or that product's like speech flaps or like their own like cultural uh, nuances. So it's really hard for a North American audience that may already be like really foreign to this concept of like Japan's culture
Yeah.
and like trying to integrate that or localize that in a way that's meaningful to them and that won't take like a lot of time to explain, right? Some examples may be like honorifics, like why in subbed you may say kun or chan or like sensei, right? Those honorifics, and that's kind of hard to translate in dub unless like you put a lot of effort in changing up the script and changing up like how you put out the information. So I definitely appreciated going back into sub because I felt like at that period of time, I think dubbing was not as great, or there were just a lot of barriers. Actually,
What was the first show that you made you switch though?
maybe Switch.
Yeah.
I think I think the big three, just because of the dubbing practices that happened when it first aired in North America. Because as soon as I heard the dub voices, I was like, oh man, this is like way different from the sub voices, and it feels like really out of touch, really different.
Yeah.
And I don't think like the dialogue is reflective of how cool uh, the sub dialogue feels, right? So I felt like it was like, oh, these guys don't get it. These guys are just like trying to like do a favorite anime, what four kids did to One Piece. Like that's how it felt. I felt so betrayed.
Okay, so
I was like,
so you Croc, you never had that one show that you were watching first in English and then were introduced to sub, and then it took you a while to be like, whoa, this is kind of weird. The voices, they don't
yeah.
match. That never really bothered you. You were able to just switch over because you were like, this is way better. All right, goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Kevin, what about you?
I think when I really got into anime, it's Naruto, and I just watched this stuff. I don't think I watched it before. So then when I saw it on TV, and I heard like the thing, and I was like, no, there's no way.
So you never watched it,
No,
the English dub first?
you don't have.
Okay, Kevin, get a little closer. Your mic's a little quiet.
I think I'll move it. I'll move it after.
Okay.
Damn son.
Yeah, I just watched it sub straight up. I never switched because I would say that was my first anime too.
Yeah.
I remember
Okay.
back then in subs too, they would going back to what Johnny said. Whenever they said like Chan or Kun, there would be like brackets at the top. I don't see that in subs anymore. Subs anymore, they don't do that. Yeah, and then they used to say like exactly. They don't. I don't see those anymore. But like,
I think now
you
they've
see
kind of
that.
stepped up their game.
Yeah, I think they just they assume you know that stuff now.
Mhm.
And then they used to say like the jutsu in Japanese here, but then atop the translator note you see like shadow clone technique.
Yeah, I remember that. There'd always be those big parts where it's literally all just Japanese, and then in brackets they'll be like, it kind of says this more or less, you know.
Yeah.
Or the best would be when
Here's
it
a
when it shows you like a letter or something that they're reading off of and then it just shows like kind of what it means. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Like,
interesting. I thought you would have watched more shows like back when it was English on TV or whatever. I didn't know you went straight into sub and then like never turned back.
I think it was just I just the only thing I really watched on TV was like Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah.
and that's probably it.
Okay, so you never ended up watching Yu-Gi-Oh and
I
stuff then.
no subbed. I never watched it.
Okay.
I have no clue what it sounds like.
Very, very different. Very different.
Same with Dragon Ball. Like Dragon Ball, like I heard Goku's voice is high as hell.
Yo,
Yeah.
And like,
first time. Oh my god, I
you,
can't.
like yeah, you grow up with it, so I don't know. Guess you're just used to it. But
If
from
I would
from
challenge
Naruto
you
onward,
to watch Dragon Ball Z, at least like maybe I say 5 episodes or something. Watch a couple in Japanese and see if you can handle it.
watchable.
It's watchable, but like it definitely takes a while because when we watched
We're
it,
so used to
when
thinking.
when it was English, right? It was so like
Yeah.
Goku, Vegeta, Nappa, they're all like super manly, you know? They're super like manly dudes. They're like buff as hell, strong as hell. And then so I watched one episode.
Further.
Watched one episode of like the Japanese version, and it's like Goku is literally like it's played by a girl, 100%, 100%. It's like highest peak voice you'll ever hear. But you
Dude,
should definitely watch it
talking
out.
about-
Okay, Billy, you go.
Talking about like girls voice acting, dude. Like it blew my mind when I found out that Naruto's voice actor was a lady. I was like, what?
Oh yeah.
I like questioned that so hard, and then I like Googled it, and I was like, oh my gosh, yo, this
Oh my
lady's
gosh.
like legit.
Yeah,
But just like Kevin, when I watched it off the CDs and stuff, it was primarily sub. Yeah, I like just got straight into sub. Like I just had to get used to like watching stuff in Japanese with like English subtitles.
Yeah.
And like it just got you like initially. I had a hard time because like you're just learning stuff, and then sometimes you're talking too quick and the subtitles go across. But like it just becomes second nature now. And
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
even if I'm like
Oh.
watching anime, like I'll understand some of the dialogue because so many
Oh,
words
man.
are like frequented, right?
Yep.
So you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, I kind of have a general idea of what's going on, even if I'm not like paying attention to the sub completely.
yeah.
The sub anime community absolutely paying dividends for teaching kids how to read faster. Bless up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
Or yeah, or diverting your attention. Reading and
I've trained my eyes. Now I can watch both the pictures and the words.
wait, like I thought about it. Like, are you reading it quickly and then watching it, or are you watching it while reading it?
I think I read it while watching. Like I kind of multitask.
I think it's just second nature. But when I think about it, when I really think about it, I think I read it first.
Yeah.
Probably
I
a lot
think I
more
say
when
much-
we first started, but I feel like now, since a lot of us know a lot of the words, we hear the words, so we kind of glance, and we just double check in our mind. Yeah, okay, that's what he was saying, and then we kind of
Yeah.
keep watching, right? Because we kind of can
Yeah, yeah.
translate a lot of the
Voice to
words.
Baka.
Yeah,
I know all those words. It's all
Like-
up here.
even if you couldn't like converse properly yourself, at least when you hear them, you're like, okay, I more or less know what that means. Read the subtitles, you're like, yeah, okay, keep going.
Yeah, man. Anime kids had Duolingo back then.
Yo,
So,
Duolingo
yeah.
would have been popular as hell for us. I feel like I
Uh,
probably have I'm the only person that has a really different experience than all of you. So
Yeah.
when I first watched Naruto, because I got into it with like Kevin and the guys, I watched it in English because I had watched a few episodes here and there on YTV when I saw it,
Mhm.
and I didn't really get into it when it was on TV. But then when we got into it in class and everyone was talking about it all the time, I just got into it and started watching it. But I watched it in dub first, and then I think it was at a time where, by the time I think Kevin, correct me or not, when we were like grade 7, grade 8, it was just finishing up the series, like right before Shippuden, right? Like it was getting pretty close to that level, I think.
Oh.
Or, sorry, what?
Same age, so like I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember the timeline particularly when the episodes came out, but like it was something like that. Like it was nearing the end. It was getting to like those final arcs. So when I watched the dub, I got to a certain point where everyone else that was watching sub was talking about something else because dub hasn't been caught up, right? Because they're so behind. Now dub comes out like a week later, I think. But back
Yeah.
then, dub was like 100 episodes behind or something.
Yeah.
So
Like those episodes had released like in Japan maybe like 3 years prior.
Yeah,
Because I remember like watching the sub version of Naruto, waiting for it to be released in North America, so I could finally have people to talk about it with.
yeah,
And I waited like for like the first episode aired, and I was like, oh man, this dub, man, I don't know how I feel about it. It just it don't hit right.
yeah. So that was me though, because I was one of those guys that was watching dub, right? So when I caught up to it, I was so far behind because everyone was starting to go past. So then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna transition to the sub and then be able to keep up with everyone. But then the voices were like, what the hell? I couldn't handle it. So I kind of quit for a little bit and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait out for the dub ones to come out. And then it was reaching the point where Shippuden was gonna come out soon. So then I was like, okay, I need to be able to handle the sub. But how am I gonna do that?
Bro.
So then I decided to
Waited-
rewatch the whole thing. I rewatched the whole thing in just sub,
It's
Tick-
up there.
just so I could get used to the voices, man. That's just, it's the same thing with like if you watch Dragon Ball Z, Kevin. You wouldn't be able to go to the end. You have to be like, okay, I gotta restart this whole thing and like get this voice ingrained in my mind because the voices were so different. But
Yeah, man, it's an experience.
that's back then when we had time to grind so many TV shows, so I ended up catching up. I probably skipped all of the fillers to be honest.
Filler?
But
Yeah, I
Right.
know.
Dude, talking about fillers. Oh my god.
yeah, fillers
So-
can be its own video altogether.
All right, yo,
Fillers.
that's okay. I'm just gonna do a little excerpt on here, man. Like Naruto and fillers. Okay, yo. Back then, I didn't know what a filler was, so I just watched everything. And I was
Oh,
like,
I think I did the same for a bit.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, until
was
there
like,
came
I
out with
didn't
like a
know what filler
website
was.
that told you what was a filler. I forget
yeah,
what that
exactly.
was.
So I just watched everything, and I was like, oh, you know, like maybe they're just deviating from the main
Yeah.
plot a little bit. They're waiting
Yeah.
A little bit of
Just
time
padding
to
it
get
out.
production
Mhm.
going, and like, dude, 100 episodes later, I was like, oh, that's what a filler is.
Yeah.
That
I
hit
think there was
hard.
I think there was one episode Jiraiya actually came back in the filler and then he left again. And then I think that's when I realized like
This
am I
is-
getting trolled? Am I getting trolled or something? And then I think that's
Yeah.
when I realized like
You-
these are all fillers.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
yeah.
I did.
I will say there are some filler episodes that are entertaining, and like I think if you want to watch them, it's good to have that option. And I understand like why they exist, but like I don't know, like 100 episodes of we waited. I remember waiting for Shippuden for like 3 years. Every day after school,
Yeah.
I'd be like
Yeah.
news, like anything, like oh
Yeah.
I was so
But the one thing you do have to
Uh,
give it to Naruto for is their fillers. At least they come up with like a decent plot line, right? Whereas if you look at the Bleach fillers, they're literally just like made no sense. There's literally like they
like
all
something.
come.
remember,
We're waiting
yeah.
for a middle of a fight to happen, and all of a sudden it cuts to them, and they're just like partying together, getting dressed up in clown costumes and stuff. And it's like, wait, what? At least Naruto is like, okay, this big thing's coming up. We need to space out time. So they're like, okay, we're gonna send them on stupid little missions that don't really matter, but at least they're sending them on missions and actually completing something, you know. So
Is that better though? I mean, like Naruto literally has filler arcs. Like,
Yeah.
that's true.
like is that better though?
I
Once in a
mean,
while, like the Kakashi mask, that's a good filler.
Yeah.
that one's
That one's
funny.
good
That was
for it.
funny. That was funny.
You know, like
Oh, man,
a
I
whole
remember-
arc of fillers. Oh my god.
Yo, those cooking ninjas though, the ramen episodes, I remember that. That was dope. I like it.
I don't know. I feel like I'd much rather watch them at least doing something. Yeah, of course it could have been better, but what are they gonna do? They're not gonna ask the, main creator to come up with an amazing plot line for fillers.
Man,
Obviously,
he's busy
right?
working on that manga.
Yeah, he's
working on-
busy making the actual story. So obviously they're not gonna spend too much money and resources to make something amazing, but at least it's something. Whereas a lot of other animes, the fillers were complete trash. Even though they might not have as many as Naruto did, but let's be honest, what show has that many episodes other than like One Piece and stuff, right? So
One Piece is
All right.
whole
So a
other
question I have for you guys is, we're kind of like on the topic of the main three, right?
Yep.
So
thing. Big three.
the big.
Oh,
Is it the big three worldwide or is it only like North Americans?
oh man.
I don't think it's North American too. I feel
I don't
like
think. I think Bleach died so quick. I don't know if people would consider it big three.
okay, back then
We
for
had
sure.
enough.
Back then for sure, it was probably the big three anime. I
Okay,
feel
yeah,
like
you're right,
in Japan, is might be slightly different. Um,
Detective Conan is huge. in
it
Japan.
was.
Yeah.
I think they were the three big shonen mangas, right?
Shonen, but Shonen in the ones that debuted in Shonen Jump, that
Yeah,
was referred to as the
Yeah.
yeah, they were the big three.
Yeah.
Even manga wise, that's where they came from. They were the big three. Yeah.
so Shonen Jump definitely like made their name when they started like three is the three most popular within Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
So magazine for shonen style series, the ones that involve like fantasy or like young boys doing high adventures, high action output, right? Those sort of storylines.
Yep.
And really Big Three, because it was in Shonen Jump, it was referred to as the Big Three.
Yep.
Because Shonen Jump was the debut series for really popular anime. It was just the debut series for adventure, action, anything that was like that we typically associate with anime, right? So it has a reason why it's referred to that way. But they were popular, like Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, and they had been long running series for a while. They would always be like the top looked after chapters when the magazine releases weekly. So it's people were looking forward to those chapters. It also like this got the most amount of attention in terms of TV media or just media in general, and also like merchandise, right?
Yeah.
You got to see those characters in the games most often, and exploding. It was just really big. Like it was like those guys, Kubo, Oda, and oh my god, I can't remember his name. Yeah, they were printing money, writing these stories. So like, it's no small feat. Definitely something to like commemorate. I mean, not commemorate, but like take notice of.
Mm-hmm. Billy, were you gonna say something about the big three or?
Yeah, I was just like, I know it's like popular to like anybody, and to like the people who are like in our interest or age range, but like, what really distinguished you from being like, these are the big three? Like for Naruto, and like comparing like One Piece or Bleach, like what really turned you on to interest you in these animes and consider it your big three? What was like that X factor in these animes that really captivated you?
It's just just the trope of a long running series, right? Because you expected these are massive arcs, massive story arcs that need to be filled, and in order to fulfill those, you had to have like an episode to explain all these different parts of the plot, right?
Yeah.
And you needed to have a lot of manga chapters or a lot of anime episodes weekly and constantly being produced in order to have these episodes or these stories finished. So I think why it's considered the big three is just because it was just had the most amount of episodes, it had the most amount of airtime, and that's why like overall, because it just had more time to show off to a larger audience. Because you can still think about like other really popular anime series that weren't part of the big three, and they definitely didn't have like a long running like every weekly episode, like into the hundreds, right? You can think of like maybe Full Metal Alchemist, right?
Yeah.
Those relatively short amount of time, but still really well liked and really polished. Yeah, I think that's big three. If it has like a long running series, if it has a grand narrative arc that it has to fill, and it's just otherwise just really popular. I think the closest that to the big three right now might be like My Hero Academia, Black Clover. Oh man, I don't even know who else would fill in the last spot. I think Demon Slayer might be the next one.
Yeah,
Demon
that'd be
Slayer?
nowadays.
It was
Nowadays,
big and
nowadays.
popular, but like
Now,
it wasn't
yeah.
really a long running series.
It's not a long running series
No.
yet.
I wouldn't really
Yeah.
consider it a big three because after the movie, there's not really supposed to be more coming after, right?
Well, I mean, like
Right.
the thing that would rival that is Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter.
But I mean, like
Right? I don't
current.
watch Hunter x Hunter, but I mean, like it does have.
But if we're talking about like current series that's actually ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Mm-hmm.
definitely My Hero, Black Clover,
Mhm.
because Black Clover, like,
Mhm.
they haven't even taken a break, right? They've
They
been,
they following like the old style.
yeah, they're kind of like ongoing,
show.
ongoing, ongoing. Whereas a lot of the new stuff coming out, they push it out because it's popular. They want to make shows out of it because so they can make money, but then they push it out before the artist gets anywhere deep into the story. So right away they have to cut it after like a season or 2 seasons, and they cut it up in like
Mhm.
25 episode chunks. So I feel like it's kind of hard to have like a big three that really is kind of like the
I
old
think
ones were.
I think the big three were definitely a unique sort of space in anime at the time, just because of how they told the stories. And
Yeah,
I think since then people have moved on to different ways or different formats of serialization. Now we get
Yeah.
like shorter series that are like a lot more polished. The stories move along a lot faster, and,
Yeah.
and like I think I prefer it this way. I think I like watching not the filler. I just watch like the condensed notes of what the author wants and like having it having it streamed.
so I got a
Yeah,
question.
mine
I
was
got a
like
question for
10
Kevin. I got a
minutes.
question for
Yeah,
Kevin.
what's up?
Yeah.
So I personally have never read Bleach. I don't know if Billy and Johnny, you guys have, but I know Kevin has. So my question for Kevin is, because you've watched Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece, and you kind of read not all of them through, obviously, but you've kept up with the newest stuff coming out. What do you think of Bleach after like the anime cutouts? Like, so when you were still watching the manga or reading the manga, sorry, you're still reading that. Did you still consider it a big three? Like, even though it wasn't running manga wise, did you
Mm,
can still consider it a big three? And like after it ended, would you still consider it like the top three in your head, or would you kind of replace it with anything else?
Manga wise, like I never thought about it that way, but like Bleach, it was rushed. I think he was getting sick, and then Shonen was like, you have until this date to finish the manga, like close the story. So I think the last arc was really bad.
Okay.
But I remember reading the Fullbring arc where Ichigo tried to get his powers back. That was pretty bad. But then, like, I don't know. To answer your question, I wouldn't say it was big three. That's why I said like, would Japan consider it like a big three? Because like when I've seen like top 10 animes in each like country or whatever, Bleach was never in any of them. Like you would see
Okay.
Naruto, you see One Piece, maybe you see even Conan and stuff.
Yeah.
Never saw Bleach.
Okay, but
And like yeah,
back
but
in the
like
day though,
also okay.
when we were kids, you did consider it a big three, right? Like,
Oh,
I feel like
100%,
we can all agree to that.
100%. I think
It's like
the
2005 to 2012.
Yeah.
yeah, like grade like high school basically 7 to 10, 12.
Yeah.
But I also think like Bleach Naruto was popular was because of like their iconic lines and like how it grabbed the Western like interest, you know,
Believe it.
like bang bang like bankai senbon zakura like
Yeah.
or like that shit like or like you know the jutsus and stuff like
Yeah.
I remember you would just yell that stuff and like
Yeah.
everyone's like oh
Yo.
you know like I
I
don't
go
think
with
any other animes like Full Metal Alchemist I don't think they had like an iconic one line or like a
equivalent exchange.
yeah like
Come on, man.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
more.
but I
Yo,
agree with
here's
Kevin
a
in
secret.
that,
Wait.
like-
Before you go, Billy, I just want to give you guys two a secret. Back in middle
Yeah.
school, Kevin totally did the Naruto run. I just want to throw that out there. Just want to throw it.
exactly I told you that backs up
Aerodynamic, right?
my iconic
Uh,
stuff like there's stuff like you know
yeah, definitely.
like any anime that had like that punchline like or
Yeah.
even Prince of Tennis like they had like their special move
Yeah.
you know?
Oh,
and then
You go.
and I don't know
Kevin,
like
you had
I don't
to
know
that.
yeah exactly that and then like
Oh man,
I don't know I think that's
Naruto.
why they were the big three I don't think I cared about the story that much back then
Okay, but after
or
when
for me at least
so when the
back
anime
then.
cut though, you definitely kind of dropped it out of your. Even
That's
though
when
you
I-
even though you kept up with the story manga wise, you still kind of you dropped it out of your top list. I'm guessing.
yeah exactly
Okay.
but then I think when I lost interest in Bleach One Piece came in
Yeah.
and then it went now I'm like One
Filled the
Piece
void.
I heard yeah exactly
Yeah, man. It's just like Oda just makes so much content, and like a lot of it's good content. If you ever read any of his manga chapters, it's filled with like super in-depth like world building, a lot of like text, a lot of speech bubbles, a lot of characters doing a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
And I think like part of the reason why Naruto and One Piece do really really is because those characters are very distinct, right? You can feel like how Luffy fights versus how Sanji fights versus how Zoro fights. Same thing with like maybe Sasuke, Naruto, or like maybe like even Itachi. Like they all have very distinct silhouettes and aesthetics. But Bleach, everybody kind of has a sword, and they're only introduced very briefly, right? Everybody knows how Ichigo looks because she's the main character, right? But I don't really remember Bad doing anything or Hime, Uryu, or Ishida. Like maybe
You just
right?
remember the badasses. You remember like the
Yeah.
cool guys. Grimjow.
but
You remember Grimjow?
Grimjow,
Like
Yeah.
Grimjow,
like you
Udora,
remember the cool guys.
yeah.
At least when
Like-
you're younger. When you're younger, at least. That's what I find.
So those characters had a lot of screen time and had really like pivotal fights with Ichigo, but I
Yeah.
don't think there was a lot left over for the other characters, all the other side characters. They didn't get a lot of attention, and like for us, the viewer, to be watching all that, like we kind of don't care this story anymore because it's all about Ichigo. That's the only time that things happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a shame because they were like Kubo was like really good at like character design. He really made interesting, like really fashionable kind of choices for how he designed his characters, how they dress. But like either they got killed off in the arc and you never saw them again, or they never developed their characters any further. Or you saw a character who filled like a trope or a role.
Yeah.
And then they get killed off and get replaced by somebody else who does maybe basically exactly that, exactly the same thing. So, creation, and I don't know, it's just a shame. All I'm saying is that Soul Society arc was like Bleach up to Soul Society arc was like the goat, and then after that it's just like I don't know. I kind of tuned out.
After Aizen broke his glasses, you see. And he brushed his hair back.
That ruined the show, man. They took like such a good villain and then tried to make him cool.
Yo, he was cool. He couldn't, when
No.
he was floating out, he went.
I know, but
Anyways.
like I feel like when Aizen was introduced, right, he had like a certain look, and then they kind of took that look of like he was like an evil genius, and then just took him
But you
into
didn't-
like, yo, I'm
you
a
didn't
cool
know he
guy
was
now.
bad,
I'm
though.
a cool guy. I know, but like
I guess.
he was like nerdy kind of, but then after you see the reveal, it's like shit, yo, he was the evil genius all along. But then he's like, I don't even need glasses, man. I'm just like a cool motherfucker. I don't know.
You see these glasses?
It's
They were fake. I can
definitely
see. I have 20/20
cheesy,
vision.
man. It's definitely cheesy.
No,
I
man.
don't know.
His thing was top 10 anime betrayals, for sure.
It was, yeah, but I feel like
You kidding me?
they could have kept his look, you know, and just
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I kind of wish that they had like a clear direction with how they wanted to end that arc. Like I think up until that arc, it foreshadowed like a lot of like potential. Like Aizen is now head of this like new organization, this anti-soul society, right? And there
Yeah.
could have been like so many ways to could have written that. But instead, we just got like a big gray empty world. And
Where did Bleach anime end again? I don't remember.
It ended
Full-
when
After
he lost
Cobra?
when he lost his powers.
Then he got it back, and then it stopped.
No, he didn't even get it back.
He didn't.
No, he didn't fully get them back, right?
Oh, spoiler.
yo, that's a filler. No man, everybody's
Pretty
had,
sure
like,
he didn't get them
a
back at
decade.
the end of the anime. I'm pretty sure it ends
I
with
don't,
him not having.
I don't know. I don't know about anime. In manga,
I
yes.
can't remember. It's been so long. I don't know.
It's
Exactly.
forgotten now, man. It's forgotten.
You know, I actually never finished Naruto anime. I dropped it after the Naruto vs. Pain arc.
Oh yeah.
That I don't know. I think starting high school, I started getting picky on animations, and then Naruto vs. Pain was around there, and oh my god.
Oh
I
man,
dropped it.
the pain
Oh
pain
my God.
smears.
Oh,
Yes,
no.
Shubaku Tensei the entire arc. But yeah,
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. It's definitely you get to a point when the anime gets big enough that it has to keep being in the media or in the audience space or the cultural space that they are willing to sacrifice quality for attention. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's that's one that I'm really not okay with. I understand why they have to do it, but it's kind of like y'all really have to do like all those filler episodes like that, or y'all really have to like start an important arc with like a B studio, like a B team studio. You're like, man, that's not how legs will look like.
No, I
That's
don't
not
think
how
anime they can't do that anymore. Like fillers
Yeah.
like that, there's
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
Because back then there was like they had the monopoly, and I think they could do whatever they want.
Hmm.
Yeah, they had enough of those slave animators drawing
Yeah.
garbage for us.
They definitely can't do that
Yeah.
anymore.
Definitely prefer this current model where like you have much shorter anime. The animators and production team can put all their resources into producing something that's really good and that will stand the test of time, rather than just something that's forgettable. Although I'm sure like a lot of it still exists.
So I think the last question I want to ask, at least for this episode, and we'll start with Mr. Essentials, is now that so we kind of talked about how we started off when we really got into it. So let's kind of do like a short talk about what is really. I don't want to say like don't start listing off your top favorites obviously, but just like what is kind of your taste now in anime, and what kind of give a few examples of what do you really watch now?
True, that's good. I mean, like shonen will always stick with me. So, big shonen guy, just because like some of those like episodes, man, you can just really get those feels. You know, like it's really built up a character, and like either when they triumph or are going through hardships, you're just like, oh god, that dude, the feels.
Looking as an adult, I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like so many episodes where I'm just like, I'm about to tear just because like, oh dude, like that seems like so relatable, or like man, like their hardships, you know, like you just want the best for them.
Man.
But so
Really
shonen,
Wait,
I
hold on,
really
hold on.
like
One second.
like
I gotta pause you. Relatable? You know, how many times have you lost to an Orochimaru, man? Are you really
Guy,
relatable?
doesn't matter.
Okay, sorry.
You know?
Continue.
But like, I mean, like the idea that you are the main character in your life, and you know, in a shonen that really brings that out to life.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like the hardships and stuff that they go through, you know, we all go through hardships ourselves.
Yeah.
And then the next one is got to be psychological thriller. I love mind-bending animes.
Okay.
That's all I gotta say.
So wait,
Well,
give an example. Example of one you've watched recently.
One that I've watched recently that's like a mind-bending anime. Okay, Promise Neverland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
Okay, Promise Neverland.
Good.
I watched the anime. It was just so good. I was like, Kevin, I'm going to read the manga, and like I binged it. It was great.
Yo, yeah, that's when you know it's good. That's when you know it's good.
Yep.
When
Yeah,
it
for
makes
me,
you read it.
like when I'm an anime guy. I don't normally go to like manga.
Yep, me
So
too.
When the anime is just so good that you're just like, I have to continue watching or reading the manga.
Please
the
find
only
you a man
time.
like
I've
this.
only
Yeah.
done that like maybe a handful of times so far throughout like the years. So it's got to be very commendable.
Okay, Kevin, what about you? How's your taste changed now?
I think I just ride the hype train, man. And then if anything, I go on like Anime Planet, or I just watch a bunch of anime YouTube now, and if it catches my eye, I watch it. Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
so you look for
And
what
I got-
people are talking about, basically.
Exactly. And no, now I'm picky with my animation. It has to be like some Demon Slayer level shit now.
A
Like-
style
like-
that you like and a quality that you like.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Like watching Black Clover, because I'm bored now, and you can tell like because it's ongoing, the quality is sacrificed 100%.
Definitely for some of the big fights, yeah.
Yeah, for Black Clover, sadly. But I'm trying to stick through it because the manga is crazy.
So you haven't watched like any slice of lives, stuff like that.
Mm,
SOL is my favorite.
no, recently past few years I've been watching more. I don't know, like Konosuba, like those kind of animes.
Okay, let's go.
Like
Yeah.
like the I don't know. Is it a harem?
Uh,
Is it
Like Konosuba for me is like the golden standard of like comedy and anime. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I've just
It has to be
watched
like that
every
level.
single episode in Konosuba, and that's literally the funniest anime I've ever watched in my life. So,
Exactly.
I
for
don't
me,
know
that's
if
the
you
pinnacle. That's,
consider
like,
it
the
like a
best.
full-on harem, really. I feel
No,
like
it's
people
not for
that watch
everyone.
those would like. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't
no, I don't
watched.
think it.
I don't think it would be fully considered. You could say it's like kind of partly like that, but I wouldn't fully say it would be a. What about you,
Yeah,
Johnny?
like
What's your taste like
My taste, like, I don't know how it would have changed, like, back when I was growing up. Back then, I used to watch, like, every anime that I could because I needed something to fill my time. So I just watched a whole bunch of variety. I liked a lot of, like, dramas. I liked a lot of, like, I guess, like, anything that, like, really made you, like, think more about life. And I think that your taste will obviously change because you as a person, just like the characters are going through character development. Nowadays, I like watching, I think, more political anime. Like back then, I watched like Evangelion, and that really that screwed me up for a while.
Yeah.
It really changed up the way that I thought about like you definitely have like some existential like questions about stuff. Nowadays, it's more. I like to take it a little bit easier. I watch like a lot of like really trashy anime, I guess you can call it that. I watch a certain magical index. I like shows that have like a really big lore or like world behind them.
hmm
Fate Stay Night is one that I really like.
Unlimited
the whole
blade
three
work
franchise.
though.
Unlimited budget works. Yeah,
Yeah.
the stuff like that is kind of what I'm getting into because the way that these authors write their characters is so interesting. Like how you can start off with a basic concept and develop into something that is like now like a global phenomenon. Like Fate Grand Order is like pulling in bank with their apps, and it's just literally like waifu collector.
Oh yeah, it's like a gacha. Eh?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
a gotcha.
I think
How about you, Eric?
for me, my taste has definitely changed. Like back then, I watched obviously all the big action ones, but now I kind of like watching stuff that's a little bit more. I don't want to say like relaxed, but it's like more comical, easier to watch, and like I
You
don't
don't
have
have
to
to
focus as much.
concentrate.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like more like slice of life stuff, and I like even though I kind of like and don't like watching a lot of the smaller animes, the ones that it's one season, maybe two seasons, and that's it. I like it in that it's something. Usually, there's a lot of really good ones, but I hate it when I do find a good one because it doesn't continue. And I'm not a big manga guy, so I don't really go read the manga if there is manga ongoing. So I still keep up, obviously, with some of the big ones like current stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff like that. But I think stuff that I like to watch and stuff that I just watch on a regular basis is just kind of casual stuff that I can watch like when I'm eating lunch at work or something like that. So my taste definitely changed.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I basically have anime to watch while I'm eating or doing something, and then anime where I put everything down, put my phone down,
Yeah.
don't look at whatever, and concentrate.
Yeah, that's
So I
like
guess you're on like the I can eat at the same time
yeah.
kind of anime.
Yeah. I got like my Friday night, Saturday night. That's I watch it when I'm done everything and that's what I'm focused
Yeah.
on. And then I got
Yeah,
my
yeah.
like I don't know, have any of you guys watched the I forget what the Japanese name, but it's like I built a tank and went full armor or whatever. Did anyone watch that one? No?
Nope.
That was just
Oh.
me. Oh. It's like a pretty good one. It's pretty funny. But yeah, stuff like that. It's just like more casual to watch. And if I get too much into like big ones, I feel like as soon as the
It's like an
episode comes out,
investment.
you're like stressed to like watch it right away, right? Whereas like if it's more like casual stuff, you're like, if I miss a week or two, whatever, I'll watch it when I get to it, kind of thing. But when it's your kind of main big enemies that you're really into, you're like, okay, I gotta watch it. Episode came out. If you're like wait till the next day, you're like, fuck man, I don't want to wait till the next day to stay up.
Yeah. To put it this way, like you have like sometimes when you want to watch anime, it feels like you gotta turn on your Sharingans, but like you're that shit costs chakra, right? You can't be wasting
Yeah.
that stuff. You gotta sometimes you need some low key stuff that you can kind of just relax and enjoy,
Yeah.
stress free.
Yeah. It's kind of just your
I haven't come across
Run-of-the-mill music.
many of those stress-free enemies like you guys have been talking about. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. A lot of people like say like they like watch anime and like do something else on the side. For me, like pretty much every anime I watch, like that's literally all I'm doing right. I'm not doing anything else. I'm like watching the anime. So like when kids in my class are just like, yeah, I play it on the side. I'm just like, what? How could you? Like, I feel
You're
like
not appreciating the art.
yeah, you're not appreciating
Exactly.
it as much if you have it on the side, you know? Because like if you have your whole attention to it, you have like more of an attention span, and you can see the little intricacies or pull these little details together that
Yeah.
really let you appreciate the anime.
Enhance.
So
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say like I don't appreciate it. I would just say it's more like it's something I don't have to like focus as much on. Like it's more
no, I totally get
it's
it.
not
I
as
totally get it.
cognitively intense.
Demanding.
Yeah. So it's more like just like it's my relaxed, you know, like when you're having a cup of coffee or whatever, it's like it's your relaxed time.
Yeah,
So-
I know,
so,
and
like,
it's
if
totally like
Your phone goes off or something, you're like, oh, okay, whatever. You missed a word.
when
You're
people
not gonna
have
rewind.
friends or something on the background playing, and they just do whatever.
I wouldn't do
Games
that.
or
Yeah, I'm not
anything,
that
right?
extent. I'm not gonna have it running in the background because
No.
I want to at least see what's actually happening. But it's definitely something more of like, if I missed a second of it, I'm not gonna rewind it. Be like, what did I miss? Oh my god, you know, kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like what I am at now. We can definitely go over a list later on and show our top
That was
picks
pretty
and
good.
stuff
We
like
had
that.
like
Oh, man.
what,
We're gonna do
maybe,
a
like,
tier
little
list?
over an
No,
hour?
yeah, definitely. We gotta do different tier lists for different subjects and stuff later on and go
my
through them.
goodness.
But
Oh,
yeah, we're gonna hurt some people's feelings, that's for sure, and probably some of our own feelings. You know.
Yep.
Yo, I didn't
But-
know Kevin did not finish watching Naruto. What the heck?
No, I
God,
like
no.
this. Like I
Feel
said, I
betrayed,
stopped after Naruto versus Pain. I was like, I can't
Yeah.
watch this anymore.
I feel betrayed.
it's okay. You
Yeah, and
can,
he was-
you can speed run the anime by reading the manga.
I almost
I-
stopped
I
watching
read-
it honestly.
No, I read the manga. No, like for sure.
Yeah, he read manga, and because he
Oh,
read
okay.
manga, he almost made me stop watching Naruto because he started talking about how
Yeah.
he got to a point when it like Madara was like crazy OP, and he was just like, yo, what the fuck is the author doing? Like, where's the story going? So then I was like, why am I gonna keep watching this? It's literally gonna get somewhere stupid. So I almost quit it, but then still watched it in the end. I don't know. When you create a super band level villain, it's kind of hard to come back from that. But we can go through stuff like that on like when we do a deep dive on a certain subject. I feel like
Yeah.
future episodes we're definitely gonna have, for whoever's viewing and watching this, we'll do different segments and different stuff like that we're gonna focus on. So we'll do like best of subject, blah blah blah, or deep dive into one subject, and that'll kind of be where we start off the podcast and where we kind of head to. And then when we have something more established, then we can broaden our horizon on different subjects and go into different things. But there's definitely a lot to talk about for anime to start off anyway. And there's plenty of anime I'm sure some of us have never watched, so we can kind of talk to
There's
stuff that
always
we haven't
time
watched
to-
to the others, and then they can either
Yeah.
figure out something new to watch, like Kevin watching Hitman. But we can definitely go through stuff later on. But I think this is probably pretty well done for
Hitman
the
was
first episode.
definitely out there. Back in the
Beastars
day.
season 2 is out now.
Yo, talking about quick before we go to anything else. If anyone else wants to ask any more questions or anything like that, or has any subjects you want to talk about, one thing I want to quickly talk about is because a lot of people are kind of doing redos of stuff, right? That's kind of the new big thing. So like Disney doing a bunch of redos.
Okay.
Yeah, Shaman King's getting a redo. Digimon got a redo. Is there any animes you wish that they would redo, kind of like they did with Hunter x Hunter, and then go beyond where it stopped? Because I don't think that's a big enough subject to really go on for its own
No.
episode. So I feel like we should throw that in here.
But like there are animes that I've watched where there's one amazing season and you're just like, why didn't they continue this
Yeah.
anime? And one of those
Season?
that comes into mind is like Dead Man Wonderland.
Yep.
I found Dead Man
Yeah.
Wonderland to be like super cool, great concept. It was going places, but then like it just stopped, and I'm just like, okay, like what's going on?
It was definitely like very, like, even though it might have not have been this popular as some of the big ones, when it first came out, I was like, "Yo, this is so interesting. Like, it can go anywhere with this story." Yeah, that's definitely
Good
one that would be
premise, good plot,
good to go
good
on.
fun.
But do you have it? Okay, I'm leaning more towards like, is there any big shows? So kind of like example, doesn't have to be the extent of Bleach where it was like what 300 episodes, but like if there was there any big shows that had like let's say 50 episodes or whatever, and then the show got cut that you wish kind of continued and got a remake?
One for sure. Tokyo Ghoul.
Okay, yeah, that's
Dude,
definitely
Tokyo
one that
Ghoul
got
was a joke.
that's definitely one that got messed up.
I don't want to talk about it. Just remake it, please.
What about Death Note? Death Note. I feel like second season kind of stuck to that. I feel like Death Note
Yeah,
started
but,
off
like,
so strong, and like they could have made the
No, but,
story
like,
so much better.
I don't know. I don't know if you can remake it because you know he's dead unless they change that, and that'd be too predictable. And then you don't know. You can't make anyone happy. I don't think.
I feel
With Death Note.
like that's true. I don't know. I was just hoping like it could get a remake and they could kind of change where this not change the ending per se, but like at least fix the in between that sucked, where L dies and then whatever happens after the junk that happens after. But for me, one of the big ones that I definitely want redone would be Hitman. I feel like Hitman could have went on to be a big anime, and they kind of just ended it, and they're like, "This is him as an adult, and this is."
I don't know. I think they exhausted a lot of things in their arcs. Like, they gave the characters like they had good character development in Hitman Reborn.
Yeah,
Because like you would always see like the baseball guy fighting another individual, and then you'd get like backstories from him or like the enemy, and
That's true.
there would always be like some sort of comparison. But
Yeah.
I feel like when I say like they exhausted a lot of stuff, is they had it was long, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like if they were to add even more to that, like I would say it's difficult to add an element over that to once again gain viewership.
But I'm pretty sure there was more in the manga than the anime.
I didn't go into the manga, but I know like the
I'm not.
anime
I'm
where
not
they
sure
stop
about
with,
that.
like, the white guy.
I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure there was more of the manga. I don't know. It was just one of my kind of favorite animes. I wouldn't say it's like my top anime of all time, but it's definitely one that I really liked a lot when I watched it. So I would definitely like to see a remaster of it and kind of see it brought back to light. Um, what what do you guys feel for something like the older things like Zatch Bell? Yeah,
Dude.
Oh,
I know Kevin's
That's
never
a
watched
great
that. Kevin's
concept.
never watched that.
Nope.
Such a great concept, but
I feel like that's something. Even if you don't want to watch it, you should check out the manga and see if the manga catches your eye. Because like it was a really cool show and cool idea behind it. And even though it was really old anime, it was kind of like at the time of the old anime was kind of I would say the style of how One Piece was back then. Close to that. It was like the older style animation. Like it was really cool. It was
okay, dude. I know. Okay, there's an anime that comes to mind now.
okay.
That
Okay, cool.
anime is Escaflowne, dude. Like Escaflowne, is like one of like the first mecha animes that I started watching other than like
Yeah.
Gundam.
Yeah.
And dude, it's just so insane how they use like dragon hearts to like fuel like their
it's fantasy.
mecha.
It's
and stuff
fantasy
like
mecha.
that. And it's like a fantasy
Yeah.
mecha placed in like almost like a medieval
it's also
time, but
isekai.
also like future time, right? Like an isekai.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And dude, I just found it
Fantasy
so
mecha
cool.
isekai.
They had like good songs, I guess, and like they hyped
Good
everything
soundtrack.
up really well.
Mhm.
But I just like I went back like maybe like last year to try to like watch Escaflowne, and I looked at the art and I was just like, oh my gosh, their faces are like
remember.
rectangular. They're like
Oh
this.
no,
And I
no.
was just
Super
like,
big
no,
I'm
I
not-
can't
I'm not-
watch that.
So
I'm never watching that.
okay,
Never watched it.
so even those, I feel like anime has definitely gone a long way. Some of the old animes, I actually don't mind watching them because I kind of like the old style of how it was. I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but like there's some old anime I kind of liked it because it was like more of the hand drawn style, right? So it was kind of like more of like the old school Disney stuff, and I don't know, I kind of like going back and watching some of those. But
What was good? Ippo. Ippo was good for an old anime.
yeah,
For an old anime,
that you want remastered, that would definitely be a good one. Because that one, how much longer did the manga go on? Because I know you
It's
talked
still
about it for a
going.
while.
It's
It's
pretty
still
long.
going.
It's pretty long. Yeah.
Still going.
That would
Still
definitely be a
going.
good one for a remake. That would definitely.
I
No, but
feel
like I'm
those
talking
act
about
like
even
those-
animations from back then.
Yeah.
It was good.
They held
really
up.
good.
You really felt the hype behind the punches, how they move. Every time you see the Dempsey roll, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about old animation, and I don't think that I want the old styles to still be preserved. I don't think that some remakes need to be made. I feel like they're okay as they are.
I don't really
I
mean
s- I like-
remade to like remaster the animation. It's more just to like
Yeah.
for animes that got cut, but the manga kept going. So to like
right.
finish off the story for those that like me and Billy who don't really read much manga. I don't know.
I don't know. Like Blue Exorcist, Prince of Tennis,
Yeah, there's a
D Gray
few,
Man, D Gray Man, those old ones that disappeared.
but I would definitely say that animation wise, a lot of old anime because like that's one of the big complaints, right? When I've told people to watch One Piece a couple years back, they're like they watched the first episode. I can't watch this. The animation sucks. I'm like, what are you talking about? For its time, the animation was good. I still
It's
feel
not
like
bad.
it holds up. Like, yeah, okay, it's clunky, it's hand drawn, it's not the best thing in the world, but like, it still portrays the emotion and stuff of the characters pretty damn well for what it
does,
was.
It does.
So, once you kind of get used to the older style animation, I find like it's pretty easy to watch.
Yo, talking about older style animation, I don't know if Kevin or Eric has watched it, but there's an animation called Pong. I think Pong the animation, Ping Pong,
Pong
the
animation.
Yeah, you
Misaki
guys heard about it?
Yuasa?
I
Yeah,
don't
man.
know.
Yeah, and like they did such a good job with the plot, but the art style was definitely very like hand drawn and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to people who are very like particular about animation quality, like that might not appeal to you. And it didn't appeal to me initially either. But the amount of character development and plot that was in that series just drove that. So that's like also a factor that other people consider.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, I can sacrifice the anime quality if I know the plot and character development is just going to be so good.
Yeah. Well, there's so many different styles of animation, right? So like when Attack on Titan first came out, like it was so different compared to everything else. And there's definitely some animation where yeah, it's quickly rushed is pretty garbage and whatever. But when you think of like all the different styles of animation, like even if you look at like the Crunchyroll original House of God or whatever, that's completely different style of or Tower of God, yeah. It's completely different animation styles. Like some of them definitely might appeal more to others than some, but I feel like
But,
once you
like,
start
Tower
watching
of
it and
God
appreciate
is
it, it's
a,
like not bad.
It's Korean.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a manhwa.
it's a manhwa.
Yeah.
So to touch on like Masaki Uesa's work, a lot of people feel that there's this like aesthetic barrier that they have to get through, right, to get used to an art style because
Yeah.
we already have in our mind a way that we see how anime should be. Like we think about Dragon Ball as being like one of the staples to it, but not everything needs to look like Dragon Ball to be considered anime.
Yeah.
So I wonder sometimes about like how do we still consider what is anime, what isn't? Is it just based on the art style, or is there something more to it? And I think people should be open to think about, or be open to try different visual styles, different types of anime, even different like aesthetics. There's one okay. If there is one manga or series that I want revived, I want everybody to watch Baki. I want Baki.
Baki is pretty
kinda
good.
be-
Baki's pretty good.
Like everybody.
Isn't Baki
like,
like the fighting one?
Yeah, it's the one that's available on Netflix. Yeah, you can watch it on Netflix.
but if you ever like read the manga or like took it like any screenshots of like the manga panels, their muscles, the way that they're drawn are like super like anatomically correct or and exaggerated. So,
Yeah.
like you can see all their deltoids, you can see their biceps, you can see like every veins. Like it's a very weird art style, but like after reading it for a while, you get used to it and you feel like it's really cool. It grows on. Having read it now versus how I first read it, I don't think I would want to go back. Like I wouldn't want it changed at all. I want that art style.
I don't particularly think any art styles need to be changed. Like there shouldn't be one specific way that everything should be done. Like There's definitely different art styles that take a little more time to get used to, and you might not really like it to start off.
Yeah.
But I've definitely given everything a chance when I've seen something that's like completely different. There's some that like annoy the hell out of me, like the one that was made by or what are they called again? the Ruby. Did anyone watch Ruby?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Like
I watched
the
it.
animation when it first came out, I was like, what the hell is this? Like it looks so cheap. It looks trashy.
Yeah,
But then when I
cheap.
watched it more and more, I was like, okay, the animation kind of grew on me. Like it's a different style, and like I get it now. And so I feel like everyone has their own art style, right? So you can't really force everyone to be like, oh, it doesn't look like this popular one, so whatever, the animation is terrible. Well, like I know Kevin's he has the right to be picky about what he likes and what he doesn't like. There's definitely stuff I've watched that I don't like and I haven't watched all the way through, right? But I definitely think when you notice new art styles, you don't have to just be like, oh, this is trash because compared to this one, I just don't like it. Definitely give it a chance, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's definitely stuff
There's
that.
also-
Yeah, that's me. I don't give
Also-
chances.
Well, no, you
One
definitely do for some, because right, because when
Oh.
Attack on Titan first came out, you really liked that animation style, but it's completely different from One Piece,
Yeah,
Naruto.
there's a difference. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a difference between bad animation versus like new animation for me.
Yeah.
So,
So you definitely give stuff a chance if it's like a new
Yeah.
style. Obviously, there is animation that's in one style, and then there's bad quality of it. So you can
Style
definitely
and
be judged.
quality-
Yeah.
like, two different things.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yo, take a look at like One Punch Man, for example, right? It started off as a little web comic that was basically like really
Yeah.
crudely drawn, but people still liked it.
Yep.
People still liked it, and then it got he fucking drew the hell out of it.
Yeah. Oh, the art's so nice, bro.
It was great
So,
when it came out.
perfect.
The fact that it was just like a parody is amazing. Yeah, I think we'll call it here unless anyone else has anything else they want to talk about.
Call it there before we go on
Okay,
forever.
we'll
All right. We'll call it there. We'll call it there.
Exactly.
So, don't really know what our next subject's going to be about. We're going to kind of discuss it and go from there. And I feel like when this gets released to all the viewers, it's going to be a completely different order probably. So
Yeah.
we're not going to name it off. We'll write it off in text for what the next episode is going to
Yep.
be for now. So,
Exactly.
all right. That's it for tonight. And thanks for
All right.
watching.
Thanks, guys.